Hey, good morning, everybody. It's early mornings LALATE, the 6:30 edition, the one that comes after 6 o'clock. Unless you're, in Larry Kudlow's house. So I'm glad you joined me. The toast is toast and the butter is buttering. I'm you're here, and I can see, you did not leave me some bacon. So I hope you're ready for Saturday to crush the Saturday, and because Monday may crush you. Monday's always a crusher, but the good news is that your second stimulus check and second stimulus package will be the crushing blow to the Manchin family on Monday, as Joe Manchin and Mitt think that bailing out big business is more important than you. Well, the good news is that Democrats don't believe that anymore. And so Democrats in the House, Democrats in the Senate, and the President of the United States are pushing and blocking anything that comes their way starting Monday, unless there's a stimulus check in there. Yes, that was the breaking news on Friday, that finally a blockade wall has been formed. So they say in both writing and verbally on the Senate floor. Can't say it any more clear than that on broadcast TV. C-SPAN with the little camera running, saying we're going to block you unless you send out stimulus check. Can you imagine that we have had to go this far to actually have people do it for us like this? God bless them that they're finally doing this. But in the same regard, you have to think the opposite. Did we really have to be that? Did we have to get this far to actually get a measly single stimulus check? Remember, you're owed a stimulus check from May, June. Well, let me back up. No, not May. April, May, June, July, August. The original CARES Act 1 was to give you multiple stimulus checks because at that time we knew we were going to be on lockdown from March, April, and May. Remember? 3-month lockdown. We all knew it. They passed a bill they wrote the bill for 3 months, and they put in 3 stimulus checks, but at the 11th hour, they took out the other 2 stimulus checks. They're like, we'll get to them later. They never got to them later. Then came May, they put in a 1 stimulus check. Then over time, Nancy Pelosi watered down the stimulus check from $1,200 to $1,000 to even $500, kept on watering the check. Now, the president and Steve Mnuchin were raising the check amount. In recent weeks, Steve Mnuchin had gotten it up to $2,000. Well, the great news is that suddenly a lot of people just gotten sick of it and saying, you know what, you just keep on bailing out big business. Manchin family, Romney, you just keep on bailing out big business. We can't keep on doing this. It's time to step up, and we're doing it this coming week. And finally, we have Republicans and Democrats, independents, Bernie Sanders, Josh Hawley, AOC, Elizabeth Warren, should I continue? Saying we're blocking everything you're doing for the federal government. You're not going to have an operating federal government by the end of next week because we will not allow it to be funded unless you send out a stimulus check this week of at least $1,200. End of discussion. And there you go. And this is Early Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Early Mornings LALATE. I'm so glad you joined me. And boy, that was such an opening. I really had to give it to you dramatically because it's shocking that something so simple like a stimulus check has had to go to the mat. And yesterday, Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley went to the mat, but they shouldn't have to. People should understand that a stimulus check has to be sent out. But the good news is finally they now got the messaging. Hopefully they don't lose the message over the weekend. So don't go drinking at the casino any too much $12 ice cream, Congress. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe because no one's getting you money right now. Not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now, and not 5 days from now. And even though this is a Saturday, I'm going to focus on in this video, as promised, to go over more about that CARES Act 1 money that's available for you in your city, county, and state. It is there. It is there. I'm going to say it again. It is there. So I want you to get this money. I'm going to tell you how to get it. And I want you to pay attention to me. Stay with me through this whole video because I don't want you to do something different than what I tell you. And you'll make it easy on yourself and you'll get the money. Also, like this video. Throughout the day, I'll be going live and tape to live and tape, so I don't want you to miss a video. Also, over there is an instant premiere. It's an instant premiere featured every morning at 6:30 when you tune in on the East Coast or 3:30 on the West Coast. Chat with your friends. There's always about 100,000 viewers who tune into the two shows. We're the most watched early morning show on YouTube. We're breaking every single record there is. We're the most watched stimulus channel. We have a 2 million view video from April. It just keeps on, we keep on hitting it out of the ballpark, but let's do it bigger going into Monday because you need to really get the messaging out loud and clear, Pearl Power. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here this morning is that this coming Monday is really going to be a big battle. And the big battle of your stimulus check is really going to the mat. And I certainly detailed it on the opening of this video. $1,200 to $2,000. The $600 is no longer equation. So throw that out. That is no longer equation. It was not adopted by anyone. Mitch didn't adopt it. The Democrats didn't adopt it. It was like literally a half a second of a conversation. The White House didn't adopt it. White House wants $1,200 to $2,000. Bernie wants at least $1,200. And this is just for the month of December. This is not a stimulus check to carry you to, August of next year. So I want to make that very clear to you. Next, PUA to 1 month. Then UI for 1 month. Then eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance. Those 4 things have to get into a thing, bill, paper, whatever it is, next week. Because those deadlines are right here. There is no deadline for an airline to get funding. There's no deadline for a hotel to get funding. There's no deadline for a restaurant to get funding. But UI is expiring. PUA is expiring. Eviction moratorium is expiring. And mortgage forbearance is expiring. Now, stimulus check is not expiring. The only thing is, you are owed a stimulus check since April, so it's sort of more than expired. It's dead at this point. It's like, how many stimulus checks are we owed? Now, what I try to remind viewers, because it's not so obvious, is that the person who has been consulting with Joe Biden about the negotiations has been VP-elect Harris, and who wrote the standalone bill for stimulus checks, $2,000 every month for 6 months until the pandemic ends, back in May. It was not Harris by herself. It was also Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey. So Sanders in a way has an axe to grind. His axe to grind is he wanted you to have by now over $12,000 and you don't have anything. Meantime, big businesses, restaurants whose owners claim themselves as employees have walked in and gotten PPP and $2 million each time, and comes back, the Democrats of all people, saying, you know what, we want those restaurant owners to go get $2 million of PPP for themselves again. These are people who don't need this type of relief. And then I can turn to unemployment and FPUC. Why are we going to the mat over $300 a week for FPUC for what, 2 weeks in an emergency bill? When Joe says he's going to take care of FPUC on January at $600 a week. And when we're talking about people who need relief, if you make less than $40-something thousand a year, you need a stimulus check. So it doesn't matter whether you are on unemployment or on unemployment or not on unemployment, you will get a stimulus check. When you make the benchmark to determine who gets relief as unemployment, it makes no sense. I'll tell you why. Unemployment is not the determining factor whether people need relief or not. It's income level. And the stimulus check is tied to income level. If you made less than a certain amount of money in 2019 or made nothing, you're getting a stimulus check. If you made too much money, you don't get a stimulus check. Unemployment is not that situation. If you're rich, I was going to say needy leaks, a rich bitch, she used to say, you made $20 million last year, but you're unemployed and on unemployment. Well, guess what? Nancy wants to give you unemployment benefits. Why, Nancy? It doesn't make sense. So there you go. The big news across the board, however, is state and local. State and local is doing God's work, and God's work is coming from different steps, and I want to go over all those in this video. States are doing a lot of things, each one of them. First, stimulus check. Some are sending out $375, $1,200, $1,800. The message I try to get very clear to viewers about the state stimulus checks is don't get excited about it, because I can get you more money from something else that's more frequent in more states than a stimulus check, which is often just hundreds of dollars. So state stimulus checks. What's the big one? Rent, R-E-N-T, rent, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, 6 months of rent, 12 months of rent, rent for homeless people, rent for people behind on their rent, rent for people not behind on their rent for people who make who have $800 a month rent, rent for people who work, rent for people who are unemployed, rent for a lot of different circumstances. Don't say I don't qualify because of, no. Where is this rent coming from? Well, it's coming from your city, your county, your state, your city, county, housing authority, state housing authority. But then when you go through all those and you're like, I can't find anything. Then you have the nonprofits, the national privates, nonprofits. They've been around 100 years. They're stepping in and paying rent. Mississippi, 3 of them. Indiana, 2 of them. Ohio, 1 here, 1 there. Kentucky, 1 for utilities. They're all stepping in and paying this money. That's on top of cities and counties that have rent assistance programs. So ultimately, what's my message to you? If you look and you really cannot find anything, and I'm not using examples like Florida where it's everywhere, or San Diego County where it's everywhere, but if you've looked and you really can't find it, then consider these nonprofits, and they're paying big amounts of money for people who really, really need it. Next, utilities. Utilities is so straightforward and easy. So ultimately, if you can't find rent, you can get utilities. Utilities is from your utility company. It's also from some of the national organizations as well, the nonprofits. They're paying utilities as well. Sometimes they're even giving you space heaters. Sometimes they're giving you items because they don't want you to be cold or something like that. So this is what's really incredible, great news. Then food. And finally, gifts. Gifts, Christmas gifts. So if you are in need of anything during this holiday season, whether it's a roof over your head or food or utilities, there is an organization out there that's giving it for you. And I want you to understand that it's there. It may not be there indefinitely. I've been doing these videos for 2 weeks and I think a day, so about 15 days. This channel does 2 million views a day approximately. #1 stimulus channel. So we do enormous amount of views. Imagine how many people have went out and applied for stuff where you live based upon just the viewership of this channel. Then take that and then consider everyone that watches things on local TV that went and applied as well. You don't want to wait. You want to get things in as quickly as possible. Now, I say that, but on the same regard, I don't want you to overwhelm the volunteers. So the community page has 14 volunteers, and I don't want you to hear my messaging and then like, oh wait, the volunteer has not gotten back to me in 15 minutes. I'm scared. The money's going to be gone. No, I don't want you to do that at all. But I just want you to understand that the volunteers are absolutely salt of the earth. So you treat them with respect. When you can't find something, you've looked, then they can help look for you as well. They have a lot of viewers they're helping, so please be patient. That community page is in the pinned comment to this video. It's also in the pinned comment to every video now. You open the pinned comment at the bottom, it says community page news.lalate.com. Next, when you consider the other things that states are doing, they're incredible. Some states are doing extended weeks of unemployment benefits, like Hawaii. Then there's state enhanced unemployment benefits, which you do by following the advice of this channel. If you made $18,000 or more in 2019 earnings, you can apply for escalated benefits, raise your unemployment benefits. And some states are just doing new stuff. And so will new states come out potentially with rent or stimulus checks or other things next week? I believe so. I believe down to the very last second. So you really have to stay with me and also the volunteers. Finally, a messaging I need to make clear is that when you, despite wherever you are, there is relief for you from the volunteers and from the nonprofits that is not geographical, I guess is the best way to say. So if you see a national charity and you see that national charity on Purple Power Live paying rent in Georgia and let's say Alabama, but then you're like, but I'm in I'm in Maine. Have you heard anyone help in Maine? Don't presume it's a negative for you because you haven't heard it. It just, there may not be a viewer from Maine that tuned in and had your situation. Don't presume it's a negative. Then additionally, I want you to understand that all the volunteers work for are looking for assistance for you in all states. So there is no volunteer. They're separated between Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You reach out to them. Don't post asking for people to reach out to you. I'll repeat again. You reach out to the volunteers on the community page. Do not sit and wait for them to reach out to you. There's always someone that thinks that they are supposed to sit back and people are to find them. This is not needle and haystack. You reach out to the volunteers. It's also a safety net so that you are communicating with people that are clearly delineated on the community page as volunteers for this channel. You do not want to respond to unsolicited comments from people you do not know that says, I'll help you. I'll help you. First, give me your social security number. Yeah, no. You need to not respond to unsolicited comments from people you don't know. And it's as simple as that. I'm here to help you, and we're going to get through this together, and there are going to be big updates throughout today, even though it's Saturday, so stay with me. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LALATE for more.